There's a lesson here to not send anything because it might
end up
in the archives of the Academy and read aloud
canonized
for the internet.
Ari Aster, welcome to the Margaret Herrick Library to check out the Academy Collection, where we're here to discuss some of the films that shaped and informed your own point of view as a director, as well as talk about your new film, Eddington, a neo-Western dark comedy with an incredible cast. And you know, I read a quote describing this film as Dr. Strangelove for the pandemic era. Do you see this film as a historical document of American society? Is it a warning about where we're headed, or something else entirely in your mind?
I guess it's something of a warning about where we're headed, but it's also a period piece. It's set in 2020, which feels to me like the moment at which the final link to whatever the old world was severed.
As someone who's keen on exploring psychological breakdowns, is there any difference in your approach from an individual's madness or a family's madness versus the kind of collective insanity that's represented by a community in this film?
We're always looking for community, and a lot of these characters are looking for community. It's a film about people in vacuums, but also,
influenced, right.
I hope the film is very empathic. It's just empathic in different directions, and that's the fun of making movies, is building these worlds and screwing with them.
Well, on the topic of movies, what I want to do is transition to our kind of show and tell segment of the program. We've pulled some artifacts from some of the films that have shaped and inspired your own point of view. I'm just curious how you react to each item and what role, if any, it played in influencing you. So this is from the 1972 film Fat City. These are storyboards by Mentor Huebner for director John Huston's Papers.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
What was the impact of this film on you?
It's a great portrait of a small town. It's very grounded, very real. And Eddington is a portrait of a small town. It's based on a book by Leonard Gardner, which is a perfect little book. It's just so funny and real and precise, and all the characters are just so beautifully drawn. Stacy Keach is amazing, and Susan Tyrrell, I don't know how to describe her. She's almost like a banshee, but she's just
That's good.
She's just the best. I don't know. I love it.
Well, that's actually a rather poetic
so cool.
segue. You were talking about screenwriter Leonard Gardner, right? I think you'll like this. This is a letter from novelist and screenwriter Leonard Gardner to John Huston regarding the book's adaptation.
Oh, wow.
This is kind of interesting because he's not exactly thrilled about the creative direction of the film.
Dear John, Ray, and David, I have studied the May 18th script. It's difficult for me to be my own advocate, but time is short now, and as I share with you the hope that Fat City will be a really exceptional film, I feel I must make a case for the integrity of the book. There's a lesson here to not send anything, because it might
end up
in the archives of the Academy and read aloud
canonized
for the internet. How can I
unpackage this?
Yeah, can I photocopy these? I want to read this.
Now, after years in the making, Robert Altman brings the big screen along the way to Nashville.
So with Nashville, first things first, this is a letter from Robert Altman discussing sharing profits from the publication of the screenplay for Nashville with the ensemble cast. I guess, tipping the cap to the kind of improvisation that happened on set.
I love Nashville, probably my favorite Altman film, but also one of the great films about America. It has one of the great gallery of eccentric characters, and that I think is also where he gets America right, is that everybody is kind of a freak. America as a circus, that's Nashville. I grew up in Santa Fe, and Joan Tewkesbury, who wrote Nashville, she lived there, and I befriended her when I was very young. She read my first screenplay when I was 13, and it was just really wonderful. Dear Bob, Landscape Films was paid for the publication of the Nashville screenplay. As the author, Joan Tewkesbury has been paid her share, and you, 24 principal actors, contributed more than is usual to the screenplay. We felt our share should be divided among you. Yeah, $315.62. It ain't much, but it's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
In your honor, from Joan Tewkesbury's Papers, this is the first draft script.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's Joan. Holy cow. She's great. I haven't spoken to Joan in over 10 years, but I really have so much affection for her.
And that's
really
amazing that you have that history.
Let me ask you, is a government worth preserving when it lies to the people?
All right, so up next, JFK. From the Oliver Stone papers, we have 2 screenplays from Oliver Stone, a first draft, and a shooting draft.
It looks like the movie, just like overstuffed. Just like busting at the seams.
What was it about this film?
It's just an incredible feat in editing, but also you can't edit a film that way without shooting a lot of footage that supports that method. It's just a brilliantly designed film all around. It taps into the fever of conspiracy thinking and something that is very much like in the bones of America, you know? Like there's too much history and we all know something's up. This is one of the most hyperbolic films ever made.
You hear that, Ned? Kid can see 50 yards. Fine.
From the Henry Bumstead papers, a production designer on Unforgiven, what we have here is a vengeance map outlining Clint Eastwood's journey.
Yeah, here's the journey into Big Whiskey. I don't know what mode Eddington is working in, but if it's somewhere near the revisionist Western, you can't really talk about that without acknowledging Unforgiven. Unforgiven for me is just one of the great scripts. It's like a rumination and it's looking at the Western and kind of questioning it. You have this really great cast and really great cast of characters that kind of represent every part of the world, but also of the genre. It's a really full meal. I don't know, it's just a great film.
Did
really
you work through those same kinds of things when you were making Eddington?
Well, I was thinking about how do I give as broad a picture of New Mexico as I can, while also acknowledging these tropes. These people have seen these Westerns. A lot of these sheriffs, they're living out their own movie, you know?
The life imitates the art that way?
So the main character of my film, played by Joaquin Phoenix, Joe Cross, I think he became sheriff because he saw those films and wanted to be like that. He saw High Noon, and he's very sentimental, which also, you know, when you're sentimental, that's not necessarily a good thing. It kind of means that you're not actually looking at your own life. You're kind of, you're dressing it up.
Joe, take it easy.
And this is from the John G. Avildsen's papers. This right here is a treatment for an unproduced sequel. Never really got off the ground, but this was the first brick that was laid.
The man who in 1969 could not conceive how one could not trust the president, even as a salesman of used cars, today cares little for any politics or any politicians. Like the symbols he loved, both Joe and the young people who threatened those symbols have lost their innocence. Sounds cool.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is this a sequel that you'd like to see?
It sounds like the way I would talk about Eddington, maybe, if I were pitching Eddington. It just fortifies that for me. But yeah, I wish they made it. Joe is, full disclosure, not my favorite film. I really like it. I love the script by Norman Wexler. It's a film about the division in America, and I think it really gets at American rage, especially among the working class. And it's a film that definitely, I think, probably kicked the door open.
Joe the Seminole.
This is cool. I want to read this too. Can I get? Yeah. I'm very curious about this.
Stack it up on your queue.
Yeah.
This is from the 1958 film Ballad of Narayama. It's a Japanese poster from the poster collection.
There are 2 Ballad of Narayamas. There's one that was made by Kinoshita, very beautiful. And then in the 80s, Shōhei Imamura, he adapted it himself.
So we have production photos from actually the 1983 Ballad of Narayama.
Everybody should see Ballad of Narayama and everything by Shōhei Imamura. At the end of an old person's life, when they've kind of lived out their usefulness, they are taken up by their son, their eldest son, up to the mountain of Narayama and left up there to die. There's this woman who's very healthy, this older woman who's very healthy, but she wants to go up to Narayama and die. This was also on my mind with Midsommar.
I was gonna say, it kind of sounds, like to the top of the mountain.
Her face doesn't explode, but unfortunately.
Well, Ari, I appreciate the education, and we like to close things out. As you've realized today, anything that you make in a film, one day it can be canonized here. And believe it or not, Ari, would you believe me if I told you that you actually have a file?
Oh my goodness. Ari Aster found dead.
What?
Face down.
Zoinks.
Face down in the tub. He had been dead for days. All right, well, This was disturbing.
Well, Ari, I appreciate talking about your films, and of course, your new one, Eddington. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. This was so cool.